5 things I wish I knew before I started fly fishing. And be sure to stick to the end of the video because I've got a special project that involves you. So the first thing I wish I knew before I started is that fly fishing doesn't have to be expensive. You can get a great setup, rod, reel, line, and a lot of times tapered leader just in one setup for under $200. Echo, Redington, all make great starter kits. Don't let people tell you that, you don't want to buy an inexpensive rod. You will likely start spending a lot more money when you get into fly fishing. But if you want to just start with something that's a solid rod, a solid reel, I wish I knew early on that you don't have to spend a ton of money to get started. Number 2, I wish I would have known in the beginning when I was young, teenager, to spend a little bit more money on the waders, right? Because if you live in a cold weather environment like the Pacific Northwest, you'll have a couple of months out of the year that you can wet wade. Otherwise, you're going to need a pair of waders. I didn't want to invest the money in the beginning, right? I just picked the cheapest pair I can find. Well, there's nothing worse than getting into your float tube or wading a river, realizing that the waders you just bought maybe lasted 2 or 3 trips and now it's starting to leak. And there's nothing more miserable than and quicker way to end your fishing trip by having a leaky pair of waders. So if you add up all the waders that I bought in my youth, if I would have just invested in a good pair that would last season after season, it would have saved me a ton of time and a lot of headache and a lot of fishing trips that ended quickly because I bought a cheap pair of waders. Now today, I bought Simms. Probably about 10 years now I've been wearing Simms, and they are a great wader, but they are pricey, right? Not everybody can afford Simms. And then all of a sudden came a company from Washington up in Bellingham, Drift. You have a wader that's arguably better than Simms. They're just as durable, but they're more feature loaded at about 40% less. So invest in the waders, because at the end of the day, if you're not staying dry, you're not having a very good experience. So the next thing, number 3, that I wish I would have done at an earlier age, I wish I would have started tying flies. I have tied a few. In fact, I've even, a friend joked around when I tried to tie my first woolly bugger, it looked like a Christmas tree, so now we call it the Christmas tree fly.
There it is.
It actually caught fish, but I wish I would have invested more time in my youth and actually tying flies. Now you can get some great flies, supporting your local fly shops, supporting local companies. Red's Flies make some great flies that you can buy online. One thing that I would encourage you to do if you're a new fly fisher, there's just something extraordinarily satisfying with tying your own fly and then catching a fish on it. It's pretty cool, and it's a skill that just keeps getting better and better over time. And when you think about how much you spend on flies, the amount of money you spend on material to tie flies versus buying flies, in the long run, it's a far cheaper option to tie your own. And again, you have the satisfaction, right, of catching fish on flies that you tied. So that's something that I wish I would have started doing at an earlier age. And I still haven't started tying my own flies. It'll happen though, soon. Oh, by the way, if you are finding this video helpful, feel free to give me a thumbs up. They are free. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I do videos like this every week. I upload a ton. So if you want to learn and just be inspired with fly fishing, you're in the right place. So thank you for considering subscribing to my channel. I do appreciate it. I wish I would have invested more time on casting. And I also wish there was a resource like YouTube back in the day. I mean, when I was growing up, we didn't even have internet. So you kind of learned as you go. But today there are resources out there for you, right? It's going to take some time. You don't need to bomb it out 60 to 80 feet to start fly fishing, right? You can cast 10 feet, 20 feet, and you're going to be fine, and you're going to catch fish. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do is spend the time doing your research. There are some great videos on YouTube, and even I've done some on giving you tips and pointers on how to better cast your fly rod. Take the time to practice, not while you're fishing, But out here in a field like this, take the time to practice just so you can get proficient at presenting the fly, and you're gonna have a lot more success and a lot less frustration when you're out there fly fishing. So, the last thing, number 5, what I wish I would have done and had the courage to is to explore new places. Today, I'm exploring more new places than I ever have in my life. And I'm not talking about having to travel to exotic places and spend a lot of money on airfare. I mean, just your local waters. Just take some time. Some people call it blue lining. Just get in your car, get on your bike, go to the nearest lake, go to the nearest stream or river and cast a line. Don't always go back to that same spot. I mean, we all have our favorite spots. I certainly do. But what's been most fulfilling for me these past really 5 years is I finally stopped driving by that stream that I've been wondering if there are fish in it, or that lake, I wonder how well it fishes. I just started doing it because I know we all want to have success in fly fishing, and if we've caught a fish or several fish in one place, I mean, we're prone to go back to that same place, right, over and over again. But I would encourage you to branch out and do a little exploring. Some of the most exciting experiences I've ever had is just trying somewhere new. And I've caught some amazing fish doing just that. So let's talk about the special project. So I get a ton of questions, and I don't always have the opportunity to answer those questions in the comments. Sometimes they even get lost in the comments and I don't see them for weeks or sometimes months. So a friend of mine were talking about this, and we thought, why don't you do a series to where viewers, you, can ask me any questions you want, any question you want about fly fishing. So go to my website, Fly Fish Dan, and you'll see the contact information there. Contact me with your question, and your question may be part of this series. I'm fairly certain I will use it, to a degree, right? There are probably some questions I can't answer, but any question that pertains to fly fishing, ask it on that contact page. We'll do a video together and I will answer your question about fly fishing. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining me tonight. And hey, if you're looking for a new set of waders and you're kind of undecided, check out this review I did on drift waders. I think you're going to find that this is the best wader for the price point out there, hands down. All right, everybody. Till the next time, fish on.